Hare Krishna, welcome all the devotees for Shubham Agadharati. I thank all the devotees. I also welcome you for short Bhagavatam class. We'll start with the short Kirtan. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tado Jayam Udirayet Nasta Prayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Sloke Bhaktir Bhaviti Naistiki Mukham karoti vachalam pangam langayate girim yat kripatvam hamvande Shri Guru Tinataram Paramananda Madhavam. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 3, text number 21. Bara parampatta kirita justam Bara parampatta kirita justam Api uttamangam nama na namen mukundam Api uttamangam na namen mukundam Savau karo no kurute saparyam Savau karo na kurute saparyam Hare lasat kanchana kankanauva Hare lasat kanchana kankanauva. Word meaning translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Bhara, a great burden, param, heavy, patta, silk, kirita, turban, justam, breasted with, api, even, uttama, upper, angam, parts of the body, na, never, namet, bow down, mukundam, Lord Krishna, the deliverer, savav, dead bodies, karo, hands, na, do, not, kurute, do, saparyam, worshipping, Hare, of the personality of Godhead, lasat, glittering, kanchana, made of gold. Kankano bangles, wa, even though. Translation. The upper portion of the body, though crowned with a silk turban, is only a heavy burden if not bowed down before the personality of Godhead, who can award mukti, freedom. And the hands, though decorated with glittering bangles, are like those of a dead man if not engaged in the service of the personality of Godhead, Hari. Purport. As stated herein before, there are three kinds of devotees of the Lord. The first class devotee does not at all see anyone who is not in the service of the Lord. But the second class devotee makes distinction between devotees and non-devotees. The second class devotees are therefore meant for preaching work, and as referred to in the above words, they must loudly preach the glories of the Lord. The second class devotees accepts disciples from the section of third class devotees or non-devotees. Sometimes the first class devotee also comes down to the category of the second class devotee for preaching work. But the common man who is expected to become at least a third class devotee is advised herein to visit the temple of the Lord and bow down before the deity, even though he may be very rich man or even a king with a silk turban or crown. The Lord is the Lord of everyone, including the great kings and emperors, and men who are rich in the estimation of mundane people must therefore make it a point to visit the temple of Lord Sri Krishna and regularly bow down before the deity. The Lord in the temple in the worshipable form is never to be considered to be made of stone or wood, for the Lord in his Archa incarnation as the deity in the temple shows immense favor to the fallen souls by his auspicious presence. By the hearing process, as mentioned here in before, this realization of the presence of the Lord in the temple is made possible. As such, the first process in the routine work of devotional service, hearing, is the essential point. Hearing by all classes of devotees from the authentic source like Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam is essential. The common man who is puffed up with his material position and does not bow down before the deity of the Lord in the temple, or who defies the temple worship without any knowledge of the science, must know that his so called turban or crown will only succeed in further drowning him in the water of the ocean of material existence. A drowning man with a heavy weight on his head is sure to go down more swiftly than those who have no heavy weight. A foolish, puffed up man defies the signs of God and says that God has no meaning for him. But when he is in the grip of God's law and is caught by some disease like cerebral thrombosis, that godless man sinks into the ocean of nescience by the weight of his material acquisition. Advancement of material science without God consciousness is a heavy load on the head of human society, and so one must take heed of this great warning. The common man, if he has no time to worship the Lord, may at least engage his hands for a few seconds in washing or sweeping the Lord's temple. Maharaja Prataparudra, the greatly powerful king of Orissa, was always very busy with heavy state responsibilities, yet he made it a point to sweep the temple of the Lord Jagannatha at Puri once a year during the festival of the Lord. The idea is that however important a man one may be, he must accept the supremacy of the Supreme Lord. This God consciousness will help a man even in his material prosperity. Maharaja Prataparudra's subordination before Lord Jagannath made him a powerful king, so much so that even the great Pathan in his time could not enter into Orissa on account of the powerful Maharaj Prataparudra. And at last, Maharaj Prataparudra was graced by Lord Sri Chaitanya on the very grounds of his acceptance of subordination to the Lord of the universe. So, even though a rich man's wife has glittering bangles made of gold on her hands, she must engage herself in rendering service to the Lord. Oh, that's it. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gnananjanashalakaya Chakshunamilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupakada Vahyam Dadati Swapadattikam Vandeham Shri Guru Sri Yuttapatakabalam Sri Guru Vaishnavamsya Sri Rupam Sagajatam Sahagana Raghunadanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Chabishakam Cha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostame Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhya Eva Cha पतितानां पापनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Hare Krishna, welcome all the devotees. So this is a very wonderful verse. I take this wonderful opportunity in the absence of regular Bhagavatam speaker. I thank my mentor and temple president for giving me this wonderful opportunity. So in this verse 2, 321, the essence of this verse is showing that however great you may be, but if you do not accept the supremacy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then you will stay back in this material world. So Prabhupada has given a lot of examples here. So let me go through one by one. Bhara, the first word talks about Bhara means it's a great burden. Bhara param patta kirita dustam. Api uttamangam na mame mukundam. Savav karona kurite saparyam. Hare lasat kanchana kankana va. The upper portion of the body, though crowned with a silk turban, is only a heavy burden if not bowed down before the personality of Godhead who can award mukti, freedom, Mukunda. And the hands, though decorated with glittering bangles, are like those of a dead man if not engaged in the service of the personality of Godhead, Hari. So, this verse reminds us that Ishavashyamidam Sarvam, and also Govindam Adipurusham. And also in Bhagavad Gita, Lord mentions, Aham Sarvasya Prabhavo Matta Sarvam Pravartate, Itamatva Bhujantevam, Buddha Bhava Samadvitaha. Buddha Bhava is the one who knows that Krishna is the Supreme Lord and he renders a loving devotional service. If that is not done, and he has to, take um, different bodies, 84 lakhs of species he has to rot through. So that's why in our Shiksha level also, there is only one question repeated in all the Shiksha levels. Chandavan Sevak, Krishna Upasak, Krishna Sadak, Upasak, in all these, that do you accept Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead? That is the only question. And the answer actually varies according to the level of the devotee. That's why here Prabhupada also mentioned first class, second class, and third class devotees. So, when you have Shraddha in Krishna consciousness, so you will be awarded a certificate by ISKCON. So if you can chant 1 word of Hare Krishna Mahamantra and accept that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this is the first Shraddha level. If this faith is not there, then even if you grow bigger and bigger, and it is of no use. And here, the person or a king is compared. The king, he can have a very rich turban, that kirit, mukut, and silk, or it is bedecked with a lot of jewels, but it is of no use if that crown, that head is not bowed down before Lord Mukunda, who gives mukti. Okay, so Prabhupada talks about three kinds of devotees here. The first class devotee does not at all see anyone who is not in the service of the Lord, but the second class devotee makes distinction between devotees and non-devotees. So here we can understand that first class devotee does not at all see anyone who is not in the service, means he can able to mm, understand every living entity is part and parcel of the Lord. Mamaivamsha jiva loke jiva buddha sanatanha manasastani indriyani prakritistani karshati. So everyone is part and parcel, but it is the first class devotee who can see soul in every living entity, either in the form of elephant or a dog or a brahmana or a sudra or whoever it may be. So the first class devotee, he can nicely, have a proper envision. But the second class devotee makes distinction between devotees and non-devotees. That means the second class devotees, after making the distinction, they are, empowered or qualified, or they are given instructions to preach to this kind of people. So the second class devotees are therefore meant for preaching work, and as referred to in the above words, they must loudly preach the glories of the Lord. The second class devotee accepts disciples from the section of third class devotees or non devotees. Sometimes first class devotees also come down to the category of the second level devotee for preaching work. Yeah. So Srila Prabhupada is first class, above first class devotee. He came down, and actually Prabhupada did not have to go anywhere, and because he was doing awesome loving devotional service in Vrindavan itself. He could have stayed back there, and he could have left his body in Vrindavan, and he could have gone back to Godhead. But Prabhupada took a mission of his guru's instructions, and he went to the Western world, and um, during the period of 10 years, he preached very loudly the glories of the holy name of the Lord and Gita Bhagavata, and also he made so many farmhouses, 108 temples, gurukulas, and he made all hippies into happies, and he has done tremendous service at the very old age. So the point of understanding here is, though he belonged to the first class, but he came down, he stepped down to reach a common man. He reached common grihasthas, and he reached even hippies. He reached different kinds of yavanas, and he gave his association, and he trained them in a particular skill where they had already acquired. Say if one devotee is very good at singing, Prabhupada engaged them in the singing, and some other devotees he engaged in deity worship, and some other devotees he engaged in preaching work, other devotees cleaning the temple, and others washing the vessels, and some other sect of devotees engaged them in the cooking, and importantly, those who have got natural skills, Prabhupada encouraged them and engaged them in printing books and distribution of Prabhupada books. This way, first class devotee came down to second class, and he was himself made available for all kinds of devotees. Like the either for even for the non-devotees also, he was fully available. Prabhupada used to reach various rich people and used to ask them donation. And also, Prabhupada introduced this membership scheme. So, even a non devotee can also become a member of our ISKCON, and thereby he can contribute little amount. So, in turn, Srila Prabhupada made an idea to give them, Gita, Bhagavatam, so that one day they will become a devotee after reading the Krishna books. So in this way, Prabhupada made himself available. So the Lord is the Lord for everyone, including great kings and emperors. And men who are rich in the estimation of mundane people must therefore make it a point to visit temple of Lord Krishna and regularly bow down before the deity. The important point is, if we do not bow down in front of the Lord, then that shows our ego. Of course, there are various reasons. One day, His Grace Radhesham Prabhu was mentioning that in the temple, there were a group of IITians, they came. So, all the IITians, they bow down for the Lord, and one person was not doing that. And the other person asked, why don't you bow down? He said, no, no, I can't do this. Then he was, he was said later on that Mukunda is Krishna. If you do not bow down, then you will get a job, and you have to bow down to your material bosses. So, for all the bosses, who is the big boss is Krishna. So, in this way, for common people, for egoistic people, if they can bow down to the Lord, Lord is so merciful that one day He will make him a nice devotee. So here another point is Prabhupada mentioned the Lord in the temple in the worshipable form is never to be considered to be made of stone or wood. For the Lord in his Archa incarnation as the deity in the temple shows immense favor to the fallen souls by his auspicious presence. Yeah. So by directly worshipping Krishna, we are neither qualified nor purified. So then how to give them mercy? The Lord thinks in this way. And somehow or the other, Lord wants to give them benedictions. Lord wants to make various facilities available for the jiva. So it's just like a relationship between a father and a child. If the child is not obedient, or if the child is not sincere and doing some mistakes, then father has to correct him. So the Supreme Father is Krishna. Pitaham Asya Jagato Mata Data Pitamaha. So the Supreme Lord Krishna, he comes in the form of Archa Vigraha, though he is not the same exactly the living Krishna, but he comes in the form of Archa Vigraha, in the form of deity, so that he can receive different kinds of services, even from a common man also. Here, Prabhupada mentions that a common man who is puffed up with his material position and does not bow down before the deity of the Lord in the temple, or who defies temple worship without any knowledge of the science, must know that his so-called turban or crown will only succeed in further drowning him in the water of the ocean of material existence. So many people they think that with his own intelligence he is getting high rank and become rich, or high paid jobs, or they become CEOs, COOs and CMDs, and they always think that yeah, with my own hard work, with my own intelligence, I became like this. Where is the question of God consciousness? He would think it this way. But how long he can hold that position? So the so-called, gold medalist in the Olympics, the so-called politician, he may be president or prime minister or different designations he may have, but the next moment he may come down. We keep seeing nowadays, the politicians getting changed, and also this Olympic athletes, they lose their position. And recently, I saw in the newspaper that one person, just by 1 mark, he lost first rank, and this fellow committed suicide. So, what a pathetic situation. So, even after getting the first rank, also, he will not be given any certificate that you achieved first rank and your seat is reserved in high engineering or high, MBA like that. Any certificate is not given. This is only just to get seat in appropriate courses. There he has to show his performance and he may be placed accordingly. So the foolish people, they do not know. And some people, they think that, they have achieved so many things. Like there are some sect of people, musicians or singers. And during Corona period, some of them they died, and the media people with camera went to their house and they interviewed their family members, and there in the house, lot of awards, rewards, cups, so many medals they have being displayed in their houses. It may be a singer or a cinema actor or a politician or whoever they can be, but if all these accolades, if all these kinds of praiseworthy for given to them, if they are not consciousness, God consciousness, it is a simply a waste. Like even if you take any cup, cup is made of material only. It does not have any spiritual value. But if you get initiated by a spiritual master, that is the real award, and that is the real reward given by a spiritual master to a jiva who has been rotting in this material world. Okay, further moving down. mm, yeah, a foolish puffed up man defies the science of God and says that God has no meaning for him. But when he is in the grip of God's love and is caught by some disease like cerebral thrombosis, that godless man sinks into the ocean of innocence by the weight of his material acquisition. Yeah. See, his material acquisition is compared to weight of material acquisition. Like, it is a heavy burden actually. If you do not bow down, if you do not surrender, if you do not accept Krishna as the Supreme Lord, it is simply a waste of time. And whatever the rewards, awards he has acquired, it is simply a heavy burden on his head. If the same thing is offered to Krishna, it is just like a lightweight, as light as cotton. Okay. So the last para, the common man, if he has no time to worship the Lord, here Prabhupada gives one the best advice. Even nowadays, also many people are working online, offline, and they have a hybrid function of working. And if we invite them for our Sunday feast or for kirtan or at least for prasadam, they say, no, 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 I don't have any time. No, I'm very busy man, maybe during break time, I will try to come. They may think that they are giving a lot of priority for their work, but it's like a donkey working. Donkey also works foolishly, but if this donkey-like person is God, not God consciousness, it is sema eva hi kevala. It is simply a waste. No doubt, such people may become donkeys also in the next life, so that they can nicely work very hard just for petty food given by the owner. Anyway, here Prabhupada mentions that um, common man, if he has no time to worship, may at least engage his hands for a few seconds in washing or sweeping the Lord's temple. This is what every Sunday is to be invite all the devotees come for a service and at least do sweeping or plate wash. Anyway, this Sunday we have a uh, plate washing service. So in this way, if anybody engages, then Lord is very merciful. Salpam api asya dharmasya prayate mahato bayat. Lord will protect us by doing a small service. Lord will take us to the highest position of devotional service if we are sincere. Okay, so Prabhupada gives here Prataprudra example. Maharaj Prataprudra, though he was a king of Orissa, but he gave his time and he used to sweep the Jagannath Ratha. When Lord comes in the Ratha, he used to sweep the road. He used to bow down in front of the Lord. And when he bowed down, his mukut also bowing down. That means the whole, because Maharaj Prataputra is representing each and every one of the population, Praja, and all the Prajas are bowing down on behalf of all the Prajas. So Maharaj Prataputra is exhibiting this kind of humbleness. Similarly, when Prabhupada bows down, it represents whole ISKCON. And when Guru Maharaj bows down in front of the deities, he also represents all his thousands of disciples. When your temple president or your circle servant, sector servant, Bhakti Viksha leader, when they bow down also, they also should pray for all the connected people. It is also bowing down on their behalf. So the idea is that however important a man one may be, he must accept the supremacy of the Supreme Lord. This God consciousness will help a man even in his material prosperity. God knows what to give, what not to give. And if God thinks that you are misusing the opulences, means he will withdraw. But if God thinks, anyway, you are an elevated soul, very humble, down to earth, I will give you opulence so that you will not misuse, you will rightly use it for our services. The best example is our Ambrish Das Prabhu, and he has donated crores and crores of rupees for the Temple of Vedic Planetarium. Still, he remained very down to earth person, very normal person, very common person. He does not have any ego or any pride. So there's the best example to the common way. And at last, Maharaj Prataprudra was graced by Lord Sri Chaitanya on the very grounds of this acceptance of subordination to the Lord of the universe. Lord of the universe is Jagannath. Then he blesses to the devotee, and the devotee will never perish. So even though a rich man's wife has glittering bangles made of gold on her hands, she must engage herself in rendering service to the Lord. Yeah. So all the categories have been covered in these words, like common man, first class devotee, second class devotee, third class devotee, and also all the female members of the society, though they are very rich and they have glittering bangles and jewelry, and they should not be very proud because they're all, property of the Lord. Just Lord has given permission, they are wearing them. But the core point in these words is everybody has to bow down to Lord Mukunda and worship Him to the best of their ability. So this kind of subordination will surely make one day wonderful devotee. Okay, with this I will stop. And if you have any questions, comments, you are welcome. Grandhara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam Prabhu. So, first of all, I would like to ask sorry for you, Prabhu, because yesterday while discussing, I was reading this sloka, I just thought, okay, if Mathurapati Prabhu explained this sloka, it will be good. Just one thought I had. But unfortunately today, I mean, it is very fortunate, Prabhu. Morning I saw your message and I felt, oh God, whatever I wished, God fulfilled that. Thank you so much, Prabhu, for this class. ಸೊ ಇವತ್ತಿನ ಅಧಿವೇಶನದಲ್ಲಿ ಮಥುರಾಪತಿ ಪ್ರಭುಗಳು 2.3.21 ಶ್ಲೋಕದ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು. ಈ ಶ್ಲೋಕ ಮಾತ್ರ ನಿಜವಾಗ್ಲೂ ತುಂಬಾ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿದೆ. ಪರ್ಸನಲ್ ಓದಿ ನಿಜವಾಗ್ಲೂ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿದೆ. ಇದ್ರಲ್ಲಿ ಏನ್ ಹೇಳ್ತಿದೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ರೇಷ್ಮೆಯ ಒಂದು ಟರ್ಬನ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು, ತಲೆ ಮೇಲೆ ಕಿರೀಟ ಹಾಕಿರ್ತಾರಲ್ಲ, ರೇಷ್ಮೆ ಕಿರೀಟ ಅವ್ರು ಹಾಕಿರ್ತಾರಲ್ಲ, ಅಂತ ಒಂದು ಶ್ರೀಮಂತರು ಸಹ ದೇವರಿಗೆ ಅವ್ರ ತಲೆ ಬಾಗ್ಲಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರೆ ಅದು ಬರೀ ಬರ್ಡನ್ ಮಾತ್ರ, ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಭಾರ, ತಲೆ ಭಾರ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು. ಇನ್ನೊಂದೇನಂದ್ರೆ ಇದೇ ಶ್ಲೋಕದಲ್ಲಿ ಕಂಟಿನ್ಯೂ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ, ಈ ಕೈಗಳಿಗೆ ಏನ್ ಹಾಕಿರ್ತೀವಿ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಈ ಕಂಕಣ ಅಥವಾ ಬಳೆಗಳನ್ನ ಹಾಕಿರ್ತೀವಿ, ಚಿನ್ನದ ಬಳೆಗಳು ಅದೆಲ್ಲ ಹಾಕಿರ್ತೀವಿ, ಆದ್ರೆ ಆ ಕೈಗಳು ದೇವರಿಗೆ ಸೇವೆ ಮಾಡಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಅದು ವ್ಯರ್ಥ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಂದ್ರೆ ನಾವು ಲೈಕ್ ನಾವ್ ಎಷ್ಟೇ ಗ್ರೇಟ್ ಆಗಿರ್ಬೋದು, ಆದ್ರೆ ದೇವರಿಗೆ ನಾವು ಶರಣಾಗತಿ ಆಗದಿರ ಇದ್ರೆ ಅದು ಜೀವನ ವ್ಯರ್ಥ, ಮತ್ತೆ ಅದು ಬರ್ಡನ್ ಅನ್ನೋ ಒಂದು ಆ, ಆ, ಇದು ಮೆಸೇಜ್ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಬರುತ್ತೆ. ಇನ್ನೊಂದೇನಂದ್ರೆ ಇಫ್ ನಾಟ್ ಸರೆಂಡರ್ಡ್, ಈಗ ನಾವ್ ಏನಾದ್ರೂ ದೇವರಿಗೆ ಶರಣಾಗತಿ ಆಗಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಈ ಬೇರೆ ಏನೂ ಇಲ್ಲ, ರಿಸಲ್ಟ್ಸ್ ಏನಿರುತ್ತೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಮತ್ತೆ ನಾವು ಈ ಒಂದು ಸೈಕಲ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ, ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಪುನರತಿ ಜನ್ಮ ಪುನರತಿ ಮರಣಂ, ಈ ಒಂದು ಸೈಕಲ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು 84,000 ಜೀವರಾಶಿಗಳ ಒಂದು ಯೋನಿಗಳೊಳಗೆ ಹೋಗೋದು, ಆಚೆ ಬರೋದು, ಈ ಸೈಕಲ್ ನಾವು ಬರ್ತಾನೆ ಇರ್ಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಆದ್ರೆ ಮುಕ್ತಿ ಬೇಕು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನಾವೇನ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು, ಆ ಮುಕುಂದನ್ಗೆ ನಾವು ಶರಣಾಗತಿ ಆಗ್ಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ನಮ್ಗೆ ನೋಡಿ ಶಿಕ್ಷಾ ಲೆವೆಲ್ಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಇಂಪಾರ್ಟೆಂಟ್ ಕ್ವಶನ್, ಎಲ್ಲಾ ಒಂದು ಶಿಕ್ಷಾ ಲೆವೆಲ್ ಪೇಪರ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಕಾಮನ್ ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಏನು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಡು ಯು ಆಕ್ಸೆಪ್ಟ್ ಕೃಷ್ಣ ಆಸ್ ಸುಪ್ರೀಂ ಪರ್ಸನಾಲಿಟಿ ಆಫ್ ಗಾಡ್, ಕೃಷ್ಣನ ನೀವು ದೇವೋತ್ತಮ ಪರಮ ಪುರುಷ ಅಂತ ಆಕ್ಸೆಪ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀರಾ ಅಂತ. ಸೊ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಾಗುತ್ತೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಶ್ರದ್ಧಾವಾನ್ ಆಗಿರ್ಬೋದು, ಸಾಧಕ ಆಗಿರ್ಬೋದು, ಉಪಾಸಕ ಆಗಿರ್ಬೋದು, ಯಾವುದೇ ಒಂದು ಲೆವೆಲ್ ತಗೊಂಡ್ರು ಸೇಮ್ ಕ್ವಶನ್ ಯಾಕಿರುತ್ತೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನೀವು ಬರೆಯುವಂತ ಆನ್ಸರ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಇದಾಗುತ್ತೆ. ಯಾಕಂದ್ರೆ ನೀವು ಒಂದೊಂದು ಸ್ಟೇಜು ನೀವು ಹೈಯರ್ ಲೆವೆಲ್ ಓದ್ತಾ ಓದ್ತಾ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಕೃಷ್ಣನ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಇನ್ನೂ ಸಾಕಷ್ಟು ಮಾಹಿತಿ ಸಿಗ್ತಾ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಅವ್ರು ಯಾಕೆ ದೇವೋತ್ತಮ ಪರಮ ಪುರುಷ, ನಾನು ಯಾಕೆ ಆಕ್ಸೆಪ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕು, ಈ ಒಂದು ಸತ್ಯ ತಿಳಿದಾಗ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಆನ್ಸರ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಡಿಫ್ರೆಂಟ್ ಡಿಫ್ರೆಂಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಲೆವೆಲ್ ವೈಸ್ ಅದು ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಸೊ ಇದ್ರಲ್ಲಿ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗುತ್ತೆ ನಾವು ಎಷ್ಟು ಕೃಷ್ಣನ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ನಂಬಿಕೆಯನ್ನ ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡಿದೀವಿ ಅಂತ. ಸೊ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಏನಂದ್ರೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ಯಾರು ಈ ಒಂದು ಮುಕುತನಿಗೆ ನಾವು ಶರಣಾಗತಿ ಆಗದೆ ಇರ್ತಾರೋ ಅವ್ರ ಜೀವನ ಬರ್ಡನ್ ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ, ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಅದು ಭಾರ ರಹಿತ ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತ. ಇಲ್ಲಿ 3 ಡಿವೋಟೀಸ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಹೇಳಿದರೆ, ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ಡಿವೋಟಿ, ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ಡಿವೋಟಿ, ಥರ್ಡ್ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ಡಿವೋಟಿ ಅಂತ. ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ಡಿವೋಟಿ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಯಾರು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಅವರು ಎಲ್ಲಾ ಒಂದು ಜೀವರಾಶಿಗಳಲ್ಲಿ, ಯಾವುದು ಯಾರು ನಾಯಿ ಆಗಿರ್ಬೋದು, ಬೆಕ್ಕಾಗಿರ್ಬೋದು, ಅದ ಕತ್ತೆ ಆಗಿರ್ಬೋದು, ಎಲಿಫೆಂಟ್ ಆಗಿರ್ಬೋದು, ಮನುಷ್ಯರಾಗಿರ್ಬೋದು, ಎಲ್ಲರಲ್ಲಿನೂ ಅವರು ದೇವೋತ್ತಮ ಪರಮ ಪುರುಷನ ಕಾಣ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತಾರೆ. ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ಡಿವೋಟಿ ಏನಿರ್ತಾರೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಅವರು ರೆಸ್ಟ್ರಿಕ್ಷನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಯಾರು ಭಕ್ತರು ಯಾರು ಭಕ್ತರಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ. ಆದ್ರೆ ಅವರ ಒಂದು ಕರ್ತವ್ಯ ಏನಿರುತ್ತೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಎಲ್ಲಾರ್ಗೂ ಸಹ ಈ ಭಗವದ್ಗೀತೆ ಭಾಗವತವನ್ನ ಒಂದು ಸಾರನ ಹಂಚುವುದು ಅವರ ಒಂದು ಕೆಲಸ ಆಗಿರುತ್ತೆ. ಆದ್ರೆ ಸಾಕಷ್ಟು ಸತಿ ಪ್ರಭುಪಾದರಂತಹ ಹಿರಿಯರು ಏನ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಅವರು ಉತ್ತಮ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ಡಿವೋಟಿಗಿಂತ ಇನ್ನೂ ಅಬವ್ ಆಗಿರ್ತಾರೆ, ಆದ್ರೂ ಸಹ ಈ ಒಂದು ಜ್ಞಾನನ ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ತಿಳಿಸ್ಬೇಕಂತ ಅವರು ಸೆಕೆಂಡ್ ಕ್ಲಾಸ್ ಲೆವೆಲ್ಗೆ ಇಳಿದು ಬಂದು ಅವರು ಪ್ರಚಾರನ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ. ನಾವು ಪ್ರಭುಪಾದರ ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ತಗೊಂಡ್ರೆ ನೋಡಿ, ಅವ್ರು ಎಷ್ಟು ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ 10 ವರ್ಷ ಅವರ ಎಂಡ್ ಜೀವಿತದಲ್ಲಿ, ಬೇರೆಯವರಾದ್ರೆ ಆ ಟೈಮಲ್ಲಿ ರಿಟೈರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ತಗೊಳ್ತಾರೆ, ಆದ್ರೆ ಅವ್ರು ಆ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡಿಲ್ಲ. ಅವರು ಅವರ ಗುರುವಿನ ಇನ್ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಷನ್ಸ್ ಮೇರೆಗೆ ಅವರು ಭಗವದ್ಗೀತೆ ಆಗಿರ್ಬೋದು, ಭಾಗವತಂ ಆಗಿರ್ಬೋದು, ಅದನ್ನ ಪ್ರಚಾರ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು, ಹಿಪ್ಪೀಸ್ ನ ಹ್ಯಾಪಿ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು, 108 ಟೆಂಪಲ್ ನ ವರ್ಲ್ಡ್ ವೈಡ್ ಸ್ಥಾಪನೆ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು. ನೋಡಿ ಆ ಒಂದು ಏಜ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಅವ್ರು ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು. ಅದು ಮಾತ್ರ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಅವರು ಸ್ಕಿಲ್ಸ್ ನ ಐಡೆಂಟಿಫೈ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು, ಯಾರಿಗೆ ಯಾರ್ದ್ರಲ್ಲಿ ನೋಡಿ ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಅಷ್ಟೇ ಪ್ರವಚನ ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಂತ ಅಲ್ಲ, ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಯಾವ ಕೆಪಾಸಿಟಿ ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಅಥವಾ ಭಯ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಏನೋ ಒಂದಿರುತ್ತೆ. ಆದ್ರೆ ಪ್ರಭುಪಾದರು ಅದನ್ನ ಐಡೆಂಟಿಫೈ ಮಾಡಿ ಯಾರಿಗೆ ಪ್ರವಚನ ಮಾಡಕ್ಕಾಗುತ್ತೋ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಪ್ರವಚನ ಸೇವೆಯನ್ನು ಕೊಟ್ರು, ಯಾರಿಗೆ ಹಾಡುಗಳು ಬರುತ್ತೋ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಹಾಡುವಂತಹ ಸೇವೆಯನ್ನು ಕೊಟ್ರು, ಯಾರಿಗೆ ಕ್ಲೀನಿಂಗ್ ಮಾಡೋದ್ರಲ್ಲಿ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪರ್ಟ್ ಇದ್ರು ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಕ್ಲೀನಿಂಗ್ ಸೇವೆಯನ್ನು ಕೊಟ್ರು, ಅಡಿಗೆ ಮಾಡೋದ್ರಲ್ಲಿ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪರ್ಟ್ ಇರೋರ್ನ ಅಡಿಗೆ ಮಾಡೋ ಸೇವೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಬಿಟ್ರು. ಸೊ ಈ ರೀತಿ ಮತ್ತೆ ಯಾರ್ಯಾರಿಗೆ ಈ ಒಂದು ನ್ಯಾಚುರಲ್ ಸ್ಕಿಲ್ಸ್ ಅಂತ ಪ್ರಿಂಟಿಂಗು ಅಂತದ್ರಲ್ಲಿ ಆಸಕ್ತಿ ಇತ್ತು ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಪ್ರಿಂಟಿಂಗ್ ಸೇವೆಯನ್ನು ಕೊಟ್ರು, ಬುಕ್ಸ್ ಪ್ರಿಂಟ್ ಮಾಡುವಂಥದ್ದು. ಈಗ ಡಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿಬ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಮಾಡೋದ್ರಲ್ಲಿ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪರ್ಟ್ ಇರೋರಿಗೆ ಬುಕ್ಸ್ ಡಿಸ್ಟ್ರಿಬ್ಯೂಷನ್ ಅಂತ ಸೇವೆ ಕೊಟ್ರು. ಈ ರೀತಿ ಪ್ರಭುಪಾದರು ಅವ್ರನ್ನ ಐಡೆಂಟಿಫೈ ಮಾಡಿ ಎಲ್ಲಾರನ್ನೂ ಸಹ ಆ ಒಂದು ಸೇವೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಬಿಟ್ರು. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು, ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಸಹ ಭಗವಂತನ ಪಾರ್ಟ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಪಾರ್ಸಲ್ಲೇ, ಆದ್ರೆ ನಾವ್ ಅದನ್ನ ಮರ್ತಿರ್ತೀವಿ. ಆದ್ರೆ ಪ್ರಭುಪಾದರಂತಹ ಒಂದು ದಿವ್ಯಾತ್ಮರು ಆ ಕನೆಕ್ಷನ್ ನಮ್ಗೆ ಜ್ಞಾಪನ ಮಾಡಿಸ್ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ. ಮತ್ತೆ ಇಲ್ಲೊಂದು ಏನ್ ಹೇಳಿದ್ರು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಪ್ರಭುಪಾದರು ಎಲ್ಲಾನು ಸಹ ಈ ಒಂದು ಮೆಂಬರ್ಶಿಪ್ ಸ್ಕೀಮ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇಂಟ್ರೊಡ್ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು. ಯಾಕೆಂದ್ರೆ ಒಂದು ಎಷ್ಟೇ ಶ್ರೀಮಂತರಾಗಿರ್ಬೋದು, ಅವ್ರು ನೋಡಿ ಎಷ್ಟೋ ಸತಿ ನಾವು ಇಸ್ಕಾನ್ಗೆ ಕರೆದಾಗ ನನಗೆ ಟೈಮ್ ಇಲ್ಲ, ಅದಿಲ್ಲ ಇದಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಿರ್ತಾರೆ, ಆದ್ರೆ ಕತ್ತೆ ತರ ದುಡಿತಾ ಇರ್ತಾರೆ. ಅದನ್ನೇ ಗುರುಗಳು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಹೇಳಿದ್ದು ಏನಂದ್ರೆ ಕತ್ತೆ ತರ ದುಡಿತಾ ಇರ್ತಾರೆ, ಆದ್ರೆ ಆ ಒಂದು ಬರೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಟೈಮ್ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ ಅಲ್ವಾ. ಸೊ ಅಂತವ್ರಿಗೆ ಈ ಮೆಂಬರ್ಶಿಪ್ ಕಾರ್ಡ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡಿದಾರೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಆ ಸ್ಕೀಮ್ ತಂದಿರೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಆ ಸ್ಕೀಮ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಅವ್ರು ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಮಂದಿ ಅಮೌಂಟ್ ನ ಕಟ್ಟಿ ಅವ್ರು ಮೆಂಬರ್ ಆಗ್ತಾರೆ. ಆದ್ರೆ ಭಗವದ್ಗೀತೆ ಭಾಗವತಂ ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಗಿಫ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿ ಕೊಡ್ತೀವಿ. ಆದ್ರೆ ಇವತ್ತಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನಾಳೆ ಆದ್ರೂ ಆ ಒಂದು ಭಗವದ್ಗೀತೆ ಭಾಗವತಂನ ಓದುವಂತ ಅವಕಾಶ ಅವ್ರಿಗಾಗ್ಲಿ ಅವ್ರ ಫ್ಯಾಮಿಲಿ ಮೆಂಬರ್ಸ್ಗಾಗಿ ಸಿಕ್ಕಿ ಅದೇನಾಗತ್ತೆ, ಅವರ ಮನೆಯಲ್ಲಿರೋ ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಭಕ್ತರಾಗುವಂತ ಒಂದು ಅವಕಾಶ ಇದೆ. ಈ ಒಂದು ಒಳ್ಳೆಯ ಉದ್ದೇಶದಿಂದ ಪ್ರಭುಪಾದರು ಈ ಒಂದು ಸ್ಕೀಮ್ ನ ತಗೊಂಡ್ ಬಂದಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಮತ್ತೆ ರಾಧೇಶ್ಯಾಮ್ ಪ್ರಭುಗಳು ಒಂದ್ಸತಿ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, IIT ಸ್ಟೂಡೆಂಟ್ಸ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ದೇವಸ್ಥಾನಕ್ಕೆ ಬಂದಾಗ ಅವರು ಭಗವಂತನ ಮುಂದೆ ಬೌಡೌನ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ ಮಾಡಿದಾಗ ಒಬ್ಬ ಮಾತ್ರ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ ಮಾಡಲ್ಲ, ಹೇಳೋದಕ್ಕೆ ನನ್ಗೆ ಆಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾನೆ. ಅವಾಗ ರಾಧೇಶ್ಯಾಮ್ ಪ್ರಭುಗಳು
What happened? The internet is not okay. Can you able to hear me?
Yes, Prabhuji, we are able to hear you. I
She
think
got,
screen got freezed, Mataji's.
she got call, I think. Call or network. Okay. We'll wait for